Welcome, everybody, to Birds of a Feather, live on a2dradio.com, live from the BMW of Atlantic City Studios, BMW of AtlanticCity.com. First half is brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours. Today's tax day, by the way, guys. So,
well, I'm done.
Yeah.
Long done.
Long done. But yeah, and we're also brought to you by StreamSmart, StreamSmart.com. Our Scanzano Sports poll question of the week. How would you grade the Philadelphia Eagles offseason thus far? Would you go A, B, C, D, F? I almost said E in there like an idiot. Just run down those ladders. But, yeah, guys, join us on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. We're probably going to have a little bit of a condensed episode this week because my buddy Charles here is definitely a little under the weather. Poor guy. He's sniffling over here, guys. Poor guy. But we got Chuck's here with us, Chrome, Ryan Brodo on the ones and twos. Guys, there's a lot to talk about. You know, we're going to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Obviously, we got some Eagles chatter because we are birds of a feather. We're going to talk some Sixers, though, as well. There's a lot to talk about with that. So, and if you just caught our live video in Real Talk, which if you're not in Real Talk, you're not in the place to be right now, guys. A lot of fun stuff going on in Real Talk. We definitely, Tom had a little bit to say about the Sixers. The Sixers and Colin Cowherd. So, yeah, guys, join us. So, Charles, what's going on, buddy? How's your week been?
Good. I've been sick since Thursday.
Yeah.
As you guys can tell, I'm pretty congested still. I'm got a bit of a headache, but I love this. I love you guys too much. I love all our listeners, so I'm not going to miss the show.
God bless you. Yeah, I missed last week. I was flying home from WrestleMania, but I'm happy to be back talking to the fam about some Eagles, about some Philadelphia sports. Obviously, lazy booking, we talk, but we don't get to talk sports, so I'm excited to get back at it. And right away on Facebook, we got Greg Milakovic, F. Dougie Fresh is still the head coach. What a joke.
Oh, my gosh, Greg.
Fuck you, Greg.
Greg.
Not now, Greg.
Not now, Greg.
Not now,
This is
Greg.
not the time, Greg. Mike Parker said, what's up, fellas? A, how he got it done. I agree, Mike. Dion Brown, what's up, fellas? Poll question, B++, considering a couple key losses. Greg says, I kid. I'll give him a B, like the Bennett and Wallace signings. Thought we missed on an opportunity to trade Foles, but the draft is upcoming, so still time. Have a good show, boys. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it,
Thanks,
brother,
Greggy.
as always. Yeah, I mean, how are you guys feeling? I'm going to say I honestly feel like it's been a solid B. I was leaning a little bit towards A. All things considered, even the acquisitions and then, you know, the thing with Worley, I think that, you know, with the organization, I trust their decisions that they make. And obviously, with that whole situation, it is what it is. But I can't imagine they would cut a guy if there wasn't some kind of a compelling evidence that they've, you know, gotten their hands on. But, you know, I mean, I look at it, the Bennett signing, huge, or trade, huge. I think it's an upgrade. You know, with Vinny, it's a lot of money on the books. And again, we came into this season, how much in debt? $9 million again. I think we had to scoop out of the cap, right, to just to break even.
Around there. Yeah.
And with contract restructuring, with cutting the right guys. Hell, they turned Torrey Smith, who we all talked about Torrey, and we love Torrey Smith, right? But they turned Torrey Smith into a better version in Mike Wallace, who's much more productive. I believe he led the league last year in yards per reception with a much better ratio as far as making catchable balls.
Yeah.
And you put him now with a quarterback like Carson Wentz. And I think that they've addressed, you know, Nigel Bradham is a huge one to me because that's the guy we talked about for months before the regular season even ended. Who's the guy you think that you need to sign that they won't? And I'm pretty sure if I was to put a percentage, it was probably about 80 to 85% of us on here said Bradham's probably going to be the guy to go. Not only did they do that, but I think it was a pretty friendly contract considering what you bought him back for as well. So that was a huge need addressed.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit concerned, but I think they'll address it in the draft with the backup tight end situation. That's obviously still got to be addressed. As far as what's going to be our third running back situation, you know, I'm not overly concerned because I love the 1-2 punch that we have, but we know that this offense runs on 3. and 3 very diverse backs. So I'll be interested. I'm still tuned in, and I think that's why I'm not pushing to A yet, because I want to see those 2 things addressed.
Yeah.
And oh, you all right there, buddy?
Yeah, it's just the tea.
Yeah.
I'm drinking hot tea to try to get myself thing, and I got a little bit of reverb in my throat. But
yeah, but I'm feeling really good about it, guys. I give it a strong B.
Here's the thing: if the Michael Bennett situation, if we knew more about it, and like everything was good, I would give it an A-, because I'm also factoring in, like, I'm not the hugest fan of Michael Bennett the person, but he's a legit player. I'm not the biggest Mike Wallace fan, but considering he's cheaper and better, an upgrade in terms of talent from Torrey Smith, that's great. And I'm not even going to factor in Darryl Worley. He was like a 5th cornerback anyone on the depth chart. The fact that we released him, it's nothing. It's going to
greatest tenure in Philadelphia, Darryl Worley or Frank Gore.
So I flip flop, but I think what really holds the grade that high is the fact that we had so little cap, like you said, but we still managed to upgrade the roster with the little cap. The fact that how he was able to maneuver like that and get upgrades in certain positions with getting cheaper and restructure the certain contracts that he did. It's Howie working his magic all over again.
Like,
so
that lane restructure was huge.
Yeah, it was huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
Ryan, what do you got?
You know, for me, there's a couple things that keep me from saying A. And a few of these things can still be handled, before the end of the offseason, obviously.
And that's kind of where I'm at. But
but given the question is so far, I can't put it at an A because, number one, at this moment in the offseason, we do not have a 2nd or 3rd round pick. So that is, if
it's concerning.
Yes, exactly. And that's something, obviously, not only the Eagles, but any team you would definitely like, because if you do not have a 2nd or 3rd round pick, you take the 2nd day off, basically, of the NFL draft.
And
you are not picking.
That's like the most pivotal day.
Agreed.
I've made that case for a while. That day 2 is the most pivotal day because you get the top tier talent that slides down, and that's where you get like a lot of the gems in the draft. Is day 2.
You find some real
really
gems,
ones,
hidden gems in there.
You make a good point.
You either use it for depth or diamond in the rough. Obviously, we know the storyline with this Philadelphia Eagles team, especially last season. They arguably got so far because of their depth, because of the the next man up attitude, next man up motto. So that's number one. So I can't put it in A because of that solely. And 2, and people could say like, oh well, were you really expecting this to happen? Well, you can go in that argument all day, but it would have immediately put me at an A, maybe an A+, if we could have gotten a team to bite on trying and getting Nick Foles.
Yeah,
and getting a pretty good return, not going out and just trading him to trade him because. If anything, if you just traded him to trade him, that would lower my grade.
Exactly.
Agreed.
But at the moment, and we were saying obviously we were at an all-time high after the Super Bowl. We were saying, oh my God, it could be a first this year, first next year, first. I can't even remember how many first-round picks we were bringing up, and we know that's not realistic. But at the end of the day, that's another thing that you could get a team to bite, especially when you look at the other signings that quarterbacks have been, the other quarterbacks that have been signed over the last handful of weeks as well.
Yeah.
So that's number 2. 3, listen, I would have loved to keep all of our guys. I understand that's not realistic, but something that could have put it at an A, I understand it's not realistic. If you're able to keep a LeGarrette Blount, a Patrick Robinson, at least one of the 2, for example. Now, I'm glad they kept Bradham because for me, he was at the top of my list given, obviously, the question marks at that position. So I'm glad. But for me, something to put it up at an A, a Patrick Robinson, a LeGarrette Blount, because obviously 2 guys that had great seasons for us, great postseasons for us. And obviously, and this doesn't really fall on the organization, but if you could have gotten Jason Peters to restructure, that way it could free up some things as well.
Right.
So at this moment, it's a confident B, which if anything, that's great. To say that this offseason is a B before the NFL draft, and who knows? I mean, let's be completely honest. I am still not ruling out that Nick Foles will be traded.
I'm not either.
I do not. If anything, I think the door has opened a little bit.
Yeah.
To be completely honest
that way, yeah.
So for me, I think it's a solid B. Now, the only thing they can do is mess this up, which I don't think they will.
No.
The only thing that they can do to make it worse is, go out and trade a Ronald Darby just to trade him. Be like, oh, we'll get a 4th-round pick for him, or trade,
no.
A Kendricks or
Can't do
or
that.
Jenkins, for example, just to trade him. But for me, I think it's a solid B.
Yeah, the Patrick Robinson one, if they could have re-signed him, I would have loved it. But I'm not as disappointed with that again because, we mentioned Bradham. That was more of a need. And to me, I kind of figured it was going to be one or the other.
Yeah.
And you were going to have to fill the other need however other way you're going to have to do it. And then I look at it, too. They went the right course because let's not forget we got a gentleman named Sidney Jones who's going to be stepping in.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, in all things considered, I think that they knew where the focus needed to be. So, to me, that only improves my scoring in a sense of they had the prioritization in the right place.
They didn't overpay Patrick Robinson, and they didn't try to outbid the Saints. And the Saints need a nickel corner, and they're another NFC team trying to go all in. So I totally understand the Saints re-signing him, and I don't blame Patrick Robinson going for the money. Like he's had a difficult career, unlucky career with injuries and everything, and he's struggled, and he's finally found his niche spot where he's played at a high level, arguably at one of the top slot corners in the league, if not the top. So he definitely deserved it. But from an Eagle standpoint, I agree with you. Like you tried, you didn't get him, but it's not. I don't think it's a bad move. As a preparation standpoint for the draft, I will say that there are a lot of good. It's very deep in terms of slot corners, in terms of guys who you can get on day 3, who are either safeties who can be that hybrid safety or slot guy, or just a pure corner who can play the slot. It's deep at that position.
Similar like a Jalen Mills.
Yeah. So you're just because you lost him, you're still in a good spot where it's not like with offensive tackle where this draft is shallow in that spot. So you have like bare pickings. Like slot corner. If they're gonna target a slot corner, there are definitely a lot of options.
Yeah, and Albaz gives it a B+. Dion Brown, the front office has something up their sleeves during the draft next week.
They do.
I could see a player or two being moved because I don't see them staying at 32 at all.
Yeah.
I don't see them staying at 32. I think they trade down, and I think that's how they'll fill the needs, which I'm totally fine with. I mean, I've said it before. To me, at 32, moving down to the 2nd round and getting an additional pick with that, it's the move to make. I mean, I don't think there's going to be that big of a fall off wherever they fall into the 2nd round.
The one scenario, I think, actually – no, I'll say one. The one scenario where I think they stay at 32 is if Geis falls. Now, it's Paulie and I, and Paulie wasn't – did you talk about it earlier? Paulie wouldn't be able to make it today because I don't know if you just did. But, yeah, Paulie couldn't make it today. He had to cover the Sixers game last night, and he's exhausted. It's a tough week for us. But we were talking, and he's putting together his mock draft, and he was looking at the teams that Darius Guys could fall to, or that could pick him, and you have maybe Washington at 13, you have the Detroit Lions at 20, and some other spots here and there, but after the Lions at 20, after that, there are no teams.
Yeah.
There are no teams at 21 to 31 that you could be like, oh, they have a good chance of picking Darius Guys. So if he gets past the Lions, there is a chance. And then he falls to 32. I think the Eagles stay and get the guy because they've been targeting him. Like they went out and worked him out privately. They brought him for a visit. There's been a lot of noise around Deuce Staley liking him, being a big advocate for him. So I think he's the one guy that they stay at 32 for. But if he doesn't fall, then I would say that's when they move back. Then they allocate those dates.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, they could have a plan. They could have a deal in place contingent on how the draft falls. And then they could say, listen, he's dropping. We're sticking where we're at.
The one thing I had read, involving the draft, I think it was ESPN. The guy's name is I can't remember the guy's name, but he does a thing every year to where he brings up a possible trade that every team could make during the NFL draft.
Okay.
And I saw one involving Nick Foles, and I wanted to bring it up to you guys on whether you think A, it would happen, B, if you would do it, if it could happen, all that stuff. He had mentioned a trade involving the Eagles and the Buffalo Bills. It would be the 32nd pick and Nick Foles for A.J. McCarron and I believe it's the 12th pick.
The 12th pick?
I think they're at 12.
I would take that.
I would
deal.
take it. I don't know if the Bills would do it.
I don't know that Buffalo would do that. I would do that deal.
I would
hey,
do it in a
you
heartbeat.
move up into a top 15 pick, 12.
Yeah.
And
Too.
I mean, I don't love AJ McCarron, but
Yeah.
I like him better than Nate Sudfeld at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you'd have to be banking that you think Carson's going to come back at 100%.
Mhm.
I'm not taking it off the table that they move Foles. I think at this point it's tougher because if you're not getting an AJ McCarron or somebody back in the deal, I don't like what's available.
Yeah.
I mean, even guys I
Okay.
tossed out, like I would have given a look to RG3. Even if you cut him in camp, I would have given him a look.
I agree.
He's off the board now.
Yep.
A lot of the real decent backups are off the board, and I just think you're really putting yourself in a potentially very compromising situation. I would be okay with McCarron if you got that in the 12 pick for 32 and Foles. I'd do that in a
Yeah.
heartbeat.
Actually, I think I had to think about it just to make sure I'm not blurting it out, but I think I would agree with you. I think that upside is just too much to say no to. The fact, like, thinking about all the names that could fall to 12. Ooh. Yeah, so yeah, I'd agree. And I don't like AJ McCarron, but in terms of now based on the press conferences today, Carson Wentz, apparently his progress is going as scheduled. And he did say that he's not going to rush himself to where he's on the field too early, but he did also say he's moving along nicely. So if the Eagles feel like he's at a point where he is looking like he's going to be ready for week 1, then sure, bring in AJ McCarron for as your backup, where you have him compete for the backup spot with Nate Sudfeld.
As emergency scenario.
As emergency scenario, and then you take that 12th pick, and then with that 12th pick, you could get you could get a lot.
Yeah, throw us some names out there.
Oh,
you're
you
the
get a
draft
lot.
guy. Who do you think if there's 2 guys there that you think they would absolutely jump all over? Who?
Well, see, like my CB1 is Jairi Alexander. He fits perfectly with. He can play slot immediately, and then after this year, if Darby doesn't resign, he could move to the outside. The thing is, his variance is so big that he very well could fall. He could be as drafted as high as 10. He could fall to 32. So if I'm the Eagles, I don't know if I draft him there because of that chance. I think you have to get one of the surefire guys. If they're on the tackle now, I'm lower on this guy than most, but the number 1 tackle that's been talked about going in the top 15 is Mike McGlinchey out of Notre Dame, and they're saying he is the top tackle. I'm not as high, but like I said, a lot of people like him. So that could be a possibility if they're looking for a tackle. If you want to get someone who's solidified, he's a name that's been talked about up there. I mean, you could get Maurice Hurst, and you're talking about Maurice Hurst, an interior defensive lineman. If you want to beef up that, if you really want to compete with the LA Rams and have like an elite defensive line, if you want to say our defensive tackles are the best over the LA Rams, you draft Maurice Hurst and you say you are not going to run on us at all. Like, Maurice Hurst is that good. Who else? It also depends. Like,
especially when you're talking about Todd Gurley just running at you.
Minka could fall. I've heard people. I've heard lately that people like Derwin James more. So Derwin James is probably going to go top 10. Minka could fall. I doubt it, but he could fall. Who has top 12 talent? Like, there's a lot. Like, so you're in a good position. If you did move up to 12, you have the luxury of having options. Depending how, because we've talked about the last few weeks, Ryan, where depending on what the Giants do and all the trades in that movement for the quarterbacks, depending on how that falls, that could mean a lot of talent goes from the top 10 and falls down to 12. So that's a good position. And I'm trying to think about it, and if I'm the Bills and I'm unable to move up to get someone, because I don't think if I'm the Bills, I don't think I want Lamar Jackson because I just got rid of Tyrod Taylor. And their games are too similar. I think that if they can't move, I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't say it's impossible for them to try to want to get Foles. I would is it likely? No, but we've seen crazier things.
True.
I'm trying to think of it, and I'm like, that's not a crazy idea.
What did you guys think of? And people are going to say, oh, of course he's going to say this, but what did you think of the Nick Foles comments by coming out and saying, in that little interview that, he would like the opportunity to start again? Like, number one, of course.
Duh.
Yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
like, duh. Well, that's why I asked, because people were
Yeah.
panicking, saying like, "Oh, what does this mean? Oh my!" It's like it means he's a competitor.
Yeah.
It means he's gonna finally say what we all thought he would say. He just didn't say it yet.
I think it's one of those where it's being taken a little bit out of context because of course he would want to, and like a lot of us were saying, like I even fell into it. I like immediately after the Super Bowl, I was like, he'll want to stay here, but I think also from his perspective, he has no problem staying here for this year because he knows he's going to be gone after this year.
Yeah.
He knows he's not going to stay. Like the Eagles aren't going to re-sign him. And so he's going to eventually start, whether it be this year or next year. He's going to have an opportunity. So I think that it's one of those comments that's getting overblown, and it's one of those, duh. But, Nick Foles, I'm pretty sure he didn't mean to stir up controversy.
Listen, I don't care if it's Joe Montana and Steve Young. I don't care if it's, Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers. I don't care if it's Donovan McNabb and freaking Coy Detmer behind him. Whoever the backup quarterback is, that should be their mentality is, I want to start. I want to go somewhere and start. You should be pushing. You should have that mentality that I'm going to push this guy ahead of me to have to continue to earn his job. And secondly, you need to have a winning mentality to last in this league. Mm-hmm. If you are a defeated person who's content with your role of being a backup or being the, 57th guy on the team, then guess what? Then why are you even there? That's it's like the NBA. I'm cool with being the guy who's the 15th guy on the roster in the IR spot.
Yeah.
Like that's what you want. I like the fact that now he's won. He has a winning mentality. But when you talk to him also about Carson, he understands what his role is here.
Yeah.
It's people trying to create a narrative that's not there. But if anything, it's more encouraging to me that he's not – we heard, I get it. I love Philadelphia. I'm resting on my laurel. Okay, because we heard a lot of talk. David Carr, who's friends with him, said, I wouldn't be surprised if he retired if Philadelphia shipped him out. Well, I'm glad that he doesn't have that mentality. I'm glad that he wants to get on the field because if something happens to Carson, God forbid, he's going to come in there ready to play. He's going to have the right mind frame ready to go.
Yeah.
So, good. I'm glad he said that shit.
Me too. I'm going to read some of the comments on YouTube.
Yeah.
We got David Rosca says, your Eagles will have a chance to repeat. Hopefully, David. He also says, Jinder Mahal lost last night. I'm guessing that's directed toward you.
He did, yes. Jinder lost.
Cameron,
they hindered Jinder.
Cameron Richardson says, B+ if Worley wasn't an idiot. Oh, God, you idiot. Todd Womack says, Philly Dilly, guys.
Dilly.
I go with B and still have the draft coming. Says, true Philly fan, Chucks, fight through anything. Thank you, Todd. I can't say no to not being here, no matter what. Even if you had to, carry me, I'd still be here. Cameron Richardson says again, it was very smart to keep Foles. Todd Womack says, hey, David, your girl is on SmackDown. Who's David's girl? I can't forget.
Oh, that was a spoiler.
Mindy Rose?
Damn you. Guys, don't you post spoilers
Who
in
was
here.
that? Say his name. Who was that? Todd?
Todd Womack said.
Damn you,
Todd?
Womack, do not spoil.
I have no clue what's going on, so.
Charles, don't read anything that you don't know who they're talking about.
Okay, got it.
Only Eagles.
Okay. Cam Richardson says, only way Foles moves is if there's another training camp injury with another team.
Probably.
Yeah. And Sixers JT chimes in.
It's only a matter of time for Sam Bradford. So
Yeah.
Oh, but no,
put it out
because they
there.
have Mike Glennon. We can't forget about him.
Jesus
God.
Oh.
$30 million on Sam Bradford.
You know,
and
if they
Mike Glennon.
traded, if Sam Bradford went down and they traded for Foles, they would have the two guys that look like Napoleon Dynamite.
Congratulations, Arizona. That's who leads your team.
Sixers JT says, does anyone know when the schedule comes out?
Thursday.
They just announced Thursday. They will have their NFL Network will have their usual schedule premiere show. I think at 8:00.
Oh God, 8 o'clock.
8
That
o'clock,
time slot's going to be popping.
Yeah, because Sixers play at 7.
7,
And then
us, and then that.
I'll be at
I
I'll
might
be
be a
at
little
PJ's.
distracted.
Yeah, it's okay.
I'll be at
Might be a
PJ's.
That's okay.
And he says, I think we're playing AFC South this year. Yes, we are.
Correct.
So that's it for YouTube.
Yeah, so I'm reserved. I can't give an A yet because I can never give an A until the draft's over.
Yeah.
Because A, you can make fantastic moves, or B, you could do something really stupid.
Oh yeah.
So I'm very, very happy with where they're at now. I think they made a lot of the right moves. There's obviously needs. Now, you were talking about moving up into 12 and some of the guys. I wouldn't like if they took a cornerback. I don't, or defensive back. You don't need that. You have so much depth even without Worley at this point, and you have another guy stepping in next year, a huge name stepping in next year.
Zidane Jones. The only thing is, I would say, see, like that high. That's why I wouldn't take Jairi.
I think it's a waste
of
a first-round pick at that point.
The thing is, if Minka falls,
For
I
us.
could see them. I could see it because Minka's just too talented.
Yeah.
Plus, he's a hybrid guy that plays safety and nickel. So you have your guy that would. Now we talked about this
Unless
last
they
week.
draft him and then move Darby later to get into the later round.
Well, that's the thing. See, you don't know what they have in plans for Darby beyond this season. So you have. So obviously we know their plans for Sidney Jones, right? We know he's supposed to be our CB1. He's our number one corner for the future. That's what his projection is supposed to be. Then you have. It's cloudy after that because you have Jalen Mills, who showed that he is a solid outside corner, and he is competent. He's one of the leaders on the defense, so he's an important piece. He's going to have to be there somewhere in the secondary. And then you have Darby, who came in after being hurt for the first half of the year, barely knew any of the playbook, came in and played pretty damn well.
Yeah.
You know, he's a feast or famine kind of style cornerback, but he played pretty damn well. And
Reminds me a lot of Asante
Samuel. So, oh gosh, it's so tough.
Who was a pretty damn good player,
Yeah.
by the way.
So it's muddy because if they don't have Darby in their future, and they feel like they don't have a guy on the roster, because Rasul Douglas is here, but he's not going to play slot. So who's going to play slot? So they need someone who they feel like can be slot. Now we talked about Mills, and Doug Peterson said that Mills is an option, and yeah, but do they want to put all their eggs in the basket of Mills being able to play slot? Probably not. So I get what you're saying, and I agree that cornerback would be a little bit of a unnecessary pick.
Like, I think a tackle would be good.
I think the tackle.
down
That's why I
for
said
that.
Mike McGlinchey.
Or even if you're trying to solidify that front eight,
Yeah,
I'd be even more down for that. I
reserved,
just don't
yeah.
like the idea of moving up and taking a cornerback at that point.
I think Minka Fitzpatrick would be, if you're talking about defensive backs, out of anyone that could fall, Minka would be the one guy I could see being too good to pass up, because he's just an elite. He's an elite talent that he's starting to fall a little bit because teams are worried that he doesn't have a pure position. People are like, oh, he's not a safety, he's not a slot corner, but he's just too talented, and that's perfectly what we need, because we need a slot corner and we need someone who could play the safety like that Corey Graham did.
Yeah.
And while Jenkins moves into the box.
Paulie's boy, Corey Graham.
By Corey Graham.
I mean, if I'm looking at defensive back, to me, that's where you start looking at later rounds and taking it, because I don't know that we need someone to step in right away.
No.
That's where you're going to find a guy who, to me, you're taking a guy at 12. He's stepping on the field immediately as probably one of your starters or in your 3 or 4 rotation right away. To me, you're looking more. That's something that we could solidify with more depth. I want a guy who can step in in a position of need that we need an immediate impact. Or if you're looking for like Jason Peters' replacement and you're not 100% sold on Vaitai, give yourself a second option right now. You got 2 guys that over the next year until Jason Peters is ready to step away or his contract's up.
Yeah.
Let these 2 guys fight it out and prove who should be the starter.
I get what you're saying there. Now you're getting to the issue of, now are you reaching? Because
Oh, and you're
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just throwing positions
yeah,
that I think if you're gonna take it a high pick, I'm not necessarily saying that's who they specifically should take at that
Yeah.
point. But
No, here's a question for you guys. With involving the Eagles, but as far as the division,
yeah,
which team at this moment do you see as the quote-unquote biggest threat? Because I think we'd all agree at this point in the offseason, we would say, and I understand we're Eagles fans, but we'd say, okay, who's coming in second next year in the division for the most part? Who would you have, the Cowboys, the Giants, or the Redskins as, okay, they're the team to where if someone's going to beat us, it's going to be fill in the blank.
Go ahead. You go first, Cole.
to me, it's always Dallas. But I don't love. I don't know that I love that they cut Dez. I just don't feel like they've done enough to solidify the wide receiver position. listen, we know his struggles that he's had, but just kind of talking to more real Dallas fans, like legit Dallas fans who aren't just Philadelphia haters.
Yeah.
A lot of them don't like the move, and I just feel like I got a little edge. I mean, since Tony Romo stepped away and it's been Dak Prescott, his slide has been very progressive, and he's still a fairly young guy that he should be able to perform at a higher level. I mean, I talked about it before. His regression happened very quickly.
What does that tell you,
Very
though?
quickly.
What does that tell you?
I think it's an issue with the quarterback position and not necessarily with the wide receiver. And I'm not saying he should be the focal point for Dak, but I don't think Dak's looking in his direction in the right situations, and it's hurting them.
It tells me two things. Number one, it says, and listen, I understand people will be like, oh, of course you're going to say you hate Dak. Listen, Tony Romo was a better quarterback than Dak Prescott
Yes,
is.
he was.
I'm not saying, or I would kind of be surprised, I'm not saying that Dak Prescott can't eventually be better than Tony Romo and actually win something in the playoffs, but at this moment in time, he's not better than what Tony Romo is.
Yeah.
And that's just the way it is.
I agree.
And number two, it shows Tony Romo made Dez Bryant. And that's not a shot at Dez, but it does help. Like I use it as a comparison. I'm not comparing the two, but Drew Brees does the same thing that Tony Romo does to, his receivers. He throws guys open. That's why Dez was so dangerous. Because Tony Romo had the communication and the wherewithal to, to where they were both on the same page, and he would throw to Dez when Dez wasn't even open.
Yep.
And for some reason that just doesn't click with Prescott. I don't know if that's, the two working together, or it's just because Dak's not as good.
I think that's that's it. I think Dak's just not as good. Tony Romo had so much better accuracy than Dak did, and I think I'm not disagreeing with you. I think it's the chemistry between Romo and Dak, and I think it also because Dez just got old quick. I think
he checked out as well because of the money.
He got old quick, and the physical tools aren't what they were before.
He's not Dez of 4 years ago.
He's
but
not.
I don't think he's as bad as he's looked since Dak Prescott's
Oh,
been there.
no, he's not.
Because you're right. A, Tony Romo is a hell of a lot better passer and a lot more accurate passer. And B, decision-making. We watched it. When Zeke went down, it really exposed Dak for his decision-making.
Even more so than we thought. Like, I didn't think it would be that bad. It was bad.
When you get pressure on Dak, he makes really bad decisions with the football. And it was shown time and again when Zeke was out. And he was forced now to throw the football.
Yeah.
He could not make the right – he couldn't process the way the field was kind of opening up. And how many picks did he throw at that point?
Oh, a lot.
Great many. Yeah, great many.
And then the San Diego game on Thanksgiving. Oh, my God.
And I think it's the unpredictability, and this is not a bad thing, of, unlike a Romo who is probably going to hang in the pocket, move around to try to extend the plays, I think Dak tends to, when he panics, if he's not making a bad decision with the football, he just takes off and doesn't let the play fully develop. That's just what
It's a different style quarterback. No, you're right. You're right.
And to your point,
and maybe that doesn't click with what Dez's talents are. At this stage in his career.
Yeah.
And to your point, Chrome, on whether or not they should have cut Dez, I think they should have. The reason why they butchered it was not because they cut him. They cut him too late.
Well, yeah, that was bad.
Why in the world? I understand it's after the season and they're going to give players time, and I understand that every organization does their things a certain way. But why would you meet with arguably the biggest name, especially with wide receivers on your team, this late, this far past free agency week 1, this far past free agency week 2, because there's 2 waves in free agency? Why would you meet with them a week before the draft?
Yeah.
Because at the worst case scenario, okay, you move away from Dez. That's fine. I get it. You can start planning on what you're going to do in the draft. Not just give it like a week of like, okay, we have to figure this out. Because by all means, and this is just going by reports, that meeting was not just to flat out say, okay, we're moving on from you. It was to negotiate. It was trying to come up with an agreement to where I'm not sold on saying that they were 100% getting rid of him. I'm not. I really think they were going to try and compromise.
What I've been hearing is that Dez was actually willing to take a pay cut.
Yeah.
But Jerry Jones had his mind set already.
So he was done.
He was done.
All right.
They were saying, and this is where I want to say they're a worse team now, but I don't know because apparently a lot of guys, and Dez, this is straight from Dez. He says, Dez said that there were captains on the team and Garrett guys who played a part in Dez's release. So there were guys that bought into
always
Garrett's
a
Garrett's
subplot or
thing, yeah.
storyline with the
They were bought into
Cowboys.
Garrett's thing, and you can say maybe you can speculate Dak, but saying that they didn't want Dez on the team anymore.
Well, I'm looking at it too, and I mean the guy's willing to take a pay cut. I would keep him at a pay cut. I mean, it depends on what it is, but there's always some subplot with the Cowboys. There's always something of Garrett guys, and I believe him. I don't think he would lie. I don't think he has a reason to lie about that. I don't know where he's going to land. I'm really interested.
Oh.
You think he's going to land in Los Angeles?
No.
I've heard that.
There's two for me.
Go ahead.
Okay. He's not coming to Philadelphia.
No,
Everyone
he's not.
relax.
Yeah, he's not coming.
I really don't think he's going to the Giants.
No,
Everyone relax.
You don't think he's going to go to the Redskins, do you?
No.
See, I don't think he's going to go to the Redskins
no.
either.
He's not.
Minnesota could be an option.
I feel like it makes too much sense. It just makes too much sense where it's not going to happen. But go ahead.
I hope for him, and
New
I'm not a
England.
fan. Well, that's always the easy answer.
Which
Okay.
one? Wait, what did he say? What did you say?
New England.
Oh, no, wait.
I could see him going to New England.
It's the San Francisco 49ers.
It's not a bad spot.
I actually wouldn't mind that at all.
Him and
No, but the
Garoppolo-
thing is-
oh man, with Garoppolo.
But the thing
throwing
is,
to him.
here's the thing. It makes sense until you actually look at it because
Until I actually. Okay.
no wait
Yeah.
here's the thing because I would like that too. Like
Mhm.
at first thought I'm like ooh talent and for Garoppolo, but when you look at Kyle Shanahan's system and the way he likes to have his wide receivers, you have to be a precise route runner. Dez is not a precise route runner anymore. He can't get over. He can't create separation. Look at guys that he had. He has in his first year that he brought in as free agents: Pierre Garçon, Marquise Goodwin. Marquise Goodwin improved his route running a lot, and then Pierre Garçon historically has been known as a really good route runner. So in that system, in Kyle Shanahan's system, you have to be a good route runner, precise type of route runner, and then Jimmy G is not the type of quarterback that will just trust a bigger wide receiver and just throw it up. He will throw to whoever's open. That's the way he's operated in his starts that he's had last year. So it makes sense because it's like you need talent. San Francisco needs talent, but then it doesn't make sense because he doesn't fit that scheme.
For me, I look at it as it makes the most sense for Dez because they have the most money available.
Oh yeah. For Dez, it does make
They
sense.
go to a quarterback to where I'm sure, especially right now, Dez is probably saying, "Oh, I'd rather play with Garoppolo than freaking Dak Prescott."
Yeah.
As well, it gives him a complete reset. Kyle Shanahan, whether it's a complete fit or not, well, his reputation around the league is, this coach is actually going to make me better. Because, I mean, he's one of the most renowned young guys of the coaches at the moment, him and McVay and a couple other guys. And then for me, if it's not the 49ers, I would say, okay, Baltimore, maybe. But him and Crabtree, that's really slow.
Yeah.
That's slow as hell with Joe Flacco.
Joe Flacco is your quarterback.
God.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay,
Yeah.
you can go there, you can take the money, but you're going to suck.
Yeah.
You're going to suck. So, and then,
He wants to be the NFC though.
well, yes.
He wants to be the NFC.
And, okay, so here's the other team, Green Bay.
That's what I was gonna say.
Because Aaron
what I was gonna
Rodgers,
say. Yep.
going back to Drew Brees, Tony Romo, obviously Aaron Rodgers is better than both of them in my opinion.
Of course.
Aaron Rodgers throws guys open.
Yes.
Could you
That's
see
what he does.
Dez Bryant?
And
With
plus,
Aaron Rodgers throwing, he might have
they
a
brought in
fucking
Jimmy Graham.
fountain
so-
of youth.
So they Packers have been taking a more aggressive approach in free agency than they have been. By bringing in a high talent in Jimmy Graham, they could very well go for Dez. They could. I think that is where it makes sense.
That's the
Because
big
you're
three
a
for me.
contender. Yeah, that Green Bay is an instant contender as long as Aaron Rodgers is there, and he's getting up there in age. Green Bay has to be all in. So I could see that. That's if I were to put my money on one team, I'd say right now the Packers because it doesn't look like the Redskins are gonna pursue him.
I'm just
No.
curious on how hell-bent he is on staying in the division. I mean, it limits your
I'm
opportunities.
pretty sure he wants to so bad, but
He,
I do too.
He also spoke about that immediately.
yeah,
We know how emotional he is. part of that, I'm sure he spoke in spite. I mean, he's still freaking subtweeting them.
Yeah,
He's
I
still
love
subtweeting them. So I'm not saying wouldn't you act that way because I think you're a little bit more mature than Dez Bryant.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you, in the back of your head, as a competitor, just as a competitor, say, "Oh, I want to definitely show that. I want to prove them wrong."
Yep.
And if that means, hey, I'm going to tell them right to their face, I'll see you twice next year, even if he didn't mean it, just to say it, just to send shockwaves like, wait, what? What? Just wait, hold, please.
Yeah.
What the hell did he just say?
Yeah.
He's gonna because don't you think that sent them, especially the Dallas Cowboys? Don't you think that sent them in a little bit of a tailspin?
Oh, sure.
Oh my God, Dez with Odell, Dez with the Eagles. I don't think they were shaking about Dez with Alex Smith, but the big two, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
No,
I don't know if he really meant it. I'm sure he did at the time because he was upset.
I definitely
just as
think
a
he meant
reaction.
it.
Yes, but I would certainly hope if he has any freaking brain cell in his body, if he's hell-bent on saying only one of those 3 teams or I'm not playing, well, I'm sorry, Dez, you're probably taking next year off.
Yeah.
Dion says, guys, the players' top 100 debuts next week. Where do you guys see Carson and Ertz on their list?
Oh, I hate that show. I hate that list. It's so flawed. It's not even funny. Oh God, I can't stand it. So I'm gonna just lowball it with low expectations and say Wentz is like top 20.
That's
But
what
that's
I
not
was going
that's,
to say,
that,
top 20.
I'm not saying that's where I'd put him. I'm
I
saying
think-
that's
I
where I think he's gonna end
I
up.
think
because
Carson will end up probably
Yeah.
top 20, and I'd probably say Ertz will be top 75.
yeah.
I was going to go more specific. I was going to say Carson will go 29 because because you know they're going to throw the injuries in our face.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course.
Oh my God, he couldn't finish the season. He couldn't do it. The escapability, it's a gift, but it could also be a curse.
Oh
I'm
my
just
God.
waiting to see it, just
Yep.
hear it.
Oh my God.
Zach Ertz, listen, for some reason and I understand why because it took him this long to have such of a great season, but he had a great season, and he was Carson's number one go-to guy, and even obviously Nick Foles' go-to guy. He's going to live in the shadow of Gronk, whether Gronk can't even play more than 5 games. It seems like a season.
Yeah.
He's going to live in the shadow of all of the obviously
Greg Olsen is another
Greg
name.
Olsen, which
Travis
he should,
Kelce.
I think
Yes.
he'll be above Greg Olsen.
he better lap Greg Olsen,
I think-
especially after this
yeah.
season.
I
we're
think
talking we're talking realistically, but as far as their list
Yes.
Well, yeah, I
because
think
they also tend to give respect to legacy type of guys who have been there, and Olsen's been doing it for a long time.
You guys know how they formulate it, right? These votes. They ask
bunch
a certain,
of assholes sit around and
No.
It's
They
their
ask
peers, right?
It's the players. They
Yeah.
they go to
Oh.
every team and they ask a certain amount of players and they have
they
them
got their
rank,
buddies and stuff that
yeah,
they
yeah.
pick
They
too.
they have them rank them 1 to 10, and then it's based on a point system it's so
I
flawed.
did forget it was the players.
It's so
that picked
flawed,
it.
but it is by the players, so I
Yeah.
can see Ertz being ranked higher than Greg Olsen. What I really want to see, I do want to see if Nelson cracks the top 100. I do want to see if he does.
Not a chance.
It's most likely not.
Nope.
But like I said, we've seen crazier. I've seen crazier people on the top 100.
Nah.
Nope.
Nah.
So we'll
Nope.
see.
It's unfortunate.
And they
I think
like-
he's a good
Yeah.
player.
They like to use the phrase "due for a bounce back season"
Oh, yeah.
a lot in these things.
Yeah.
So
I hate
you
that.
can see that with Greg Olsen. I'm
Yep.
waiting for freaking Jimmy Graham to show up on this
Oh,
effing
and
list.
Oh,
sure.
he'll show up.
I know, which is ridiculous.
show
He
up.
hasn't
He'll
been
show up.
seen since he left freaking New Orleans.
Well, he had a good year last year in terms of touchdowns, if I remember correctly. But
And then he forgot how to catch a ball.
he's not who he was.
Deion Brown also says, I don't have a problem with what Foles said at all. I'd rather have him backing up Carson than A.J. McCarron. Antonio Michael Bryant says, if the Eagles could trade with the Bills and move up somehow, and somehow get the guy from Notre Dame, it would be a grand slam, period, A+++.
Yeah, people are high on McGlinchey. They are. I have my concerns, but I can see it. On YouTube, it started going off.
No more spoilers for SmackDown,
Everybody
assholes.
calm
Todd-
down over there.
Todd
I love
Womack-
the fan, but don't be assholes and
Todd
spoil it
Womack
for
did
me.
say, "My bad, didn't know not to talk the shake up." LOL.
We'll talk it on Thursday, brother. You
Save
know
it.
that.
Save
Yep.
it.
Rosca says Eagles are built as a dynasty. Thank you, Rosca.
I'm glad
Uh,
someone sees it.
Yeah. Scissors JT says we have 4 young corners, which is why the whole Darryl Worley thing seemed irrelevant to me. I believe all our corners are better than him.
It's like he was never here anyway.
Yeah,
So
Yogi. Oh well, I'll continue what Sixers JT said. He says the Giants, Cowboys, and Skins. Oh, he says the Giants. Period. Cowboys and Skins seem so dysfunctional at this point, and their defenses aren't amazing. I believe New York had a bad year and will be back, especially if they had if they draft a QB and solidify that line. Ryan, I believe Tony will always be better than Dak. Laughing face.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen, JT.
Yogi
talk to a lot of real Cowboys fans.
They weren't happy when Tony retired.
There are not many that I've talked to that actually think that Dak Prescott is better than Tony Romo.
And
or will ever be better than Tony Romo.
I agree with you there. The Cowboys fans that I know, they're not sold on Dak.
And that's huge on 2 counts. Number 1, it shows the respect that they have for a guy that's never done anything in the playoffs, which I don't know if that's smart fans or respect fans. I'll probably, I don't know what that is. And then 2, it shows how much they don't like Dak.
Yeah.
Like they're willing to say a retired quarterback who's now in the booth that didn't have an effing back for the last 5 years of his season and never did anything in the playoffs is better than their quote-unquote young guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
Damn.
Yeah. Yogi Rome says Mills in the end will be a safety. He's versatile enough to play Graham's position.
I think he might
see that.
shift to there as he gets older.
Yeah.
But I think for now, where he's at, you know, as like a hybrid player where he can move him around the field is definitely best suited for him.
Cameron Richardson says Giants will be second. That's not a 3-13 team. The Cowboys offensively are very predictable and Dak is limited. The Skins don't have enough overall talent.
Agreed.
Yeah. Sixers JT says Cowboys fans love complaining about the play calling by Garrett, but Dak was absolutely exposed this year. They had the best O-line in football and a receiving core that had no problem 2 years ago when they went 13-3. The defense had some issues, but their defense was not that bad. I believe the offense lost games for them.
I'm just saying, and I know we hate to even mention this idea.
Oh, go ahead.
But if the New York Giants sign Dez and then draft Saquon Barkley, that's a pretty damn good offense right there.
Not with that O-line. Not with that O-line. I'm telling you, the issue has never been the talent on the offense, the skill position players, and it's not been.
Well, it certainly was
Eli
last year because half of them were hurt. For
the
portion or the whole
year.
They
got hurt, but you have Evan Ingram is a tight end who's a really good receiving tight end. You have Sterling Shepard, who's one of the premier slot receivers in the league and only getting better. And then you have OBJ, who's arguably top 2 or 3 wide receiver in the league.
I don't know. I throw Dez and Saquon in there. You'll figure out the offensive line. That fucking offense. If he can,
I'll tell you what.
The only thing is it's slow.
They're that bad, guys. I just saw a GIF of Eric Flowers with the Chiefs, where he literally on one running play, he literally missed 3 defenders on one play. Flailing, he went to the second level and missed 3 defensive players, and they assume that moving him to the right side is going to fix a lot of his issues. No, it won't. It won't do anything. I study this guy. He is horrible. Horrible. So I'm telling you, and they let one of their best offensive linemen go in free agency. I'm telling you, that line is going. It doesn't matter who they have out there, until they address that offensive line. They're always going to struggle.
I think they're trying to get Manning killed in his final year with them.
I can't. The one thing I completely disagree with you with, all right? I'm not going to say you're overthinking it. You can't tell me that if they add Saquon Barkley and Dez Bryant, that doesn't make that team better, Charles.
Oh, no, it makes them better, but not as a threat. I wouldn't put them over the Cowboys is what I'm saying.
I would.
I wouldn't put it over the Cowboys.
Here's the thing.
I'm not saying they're a threat to us, but I'm putting them as a threat to over the Cowboys.
They're a solid, maybe a 9-7. Like, they're around. We don't have to watch them mid-season and be like, oh, they're a laughing stock.
Watch out, guys.
9-7.
A real fucking problem just walked into the studio right now.
Mellow Yellow.
Greg Milakovic walked in.
Mellow Yellow.
Doug Peterson's biggest fan has just walked through the studio.
Because here's what we have to remember, all right, guys? And listen, we all enjoyed it, watching it all last season because we can't stand the freaking the Giants, okay?
Tom says they aren't a threat. Fuck them.
Okay. everything that I can't believe I'm like sounding like the fanboy of the Giants right now.
No,
Everything,
I get what you're saying.
everything
Okay,
that went wrong went
We're here, bro.
everything that
Yeah.
could have gone wrong
Went wrong for them.
went wrong. They had
We're here, bro.
They had a guy that I was questioning his freaking sanity. That was
Yeah.
the coach.
Yeah.
They lost Odell. They lost Marshall. Eli was Eli. Their offensive line sucked. Like, honestly, their defense checked out.
Yeah.
For me, and I'm not saying, listen, there are injuries in football. I understand that. I completely understand that. But for me,
For an example of that, right?
if you slightly improve that offensive line, that's better than the slop that was just ran out there all last season.
Yeah.
If Eli has a little bit more time, especially with a running back that everyone's been talking about,
Yeah.
because they haven't had a running back in I don't even know how many years
Yeah.
that it does anything.
Yeah.
A healthy Odell, a healthy Brandon Marshall, who's at the end of his career,
No,
but he's
Brandon
still an
Marshall's not
option.
there anymore. Brandon Marshall's not there
They're
anymore.
not going to.
I think he's
No, he's gone.
I thought they were going to try and re-sign him.
No.
He had a nice 2 games with them.
That's fair.
Nice 2 games. I'm pretty sure they were really bad.
A second-year Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, and then if you try and get Dez, like that's the other thing. I don't know if Eli's going to make Dez better,
Uh-huh.
but for me, makes his team better.
I'll put it this way. I don't think you guys are crazy. I don't want to. If I made it seem like that, it's not. It's a good point. You have a valid argument. I just personally, I've seen, and I'm going under the assumption that they don't really improve that O-line.
Right.
If they don't
Yeah, that's
improve that O-line, I'm sorry, all bets are off because that O-line is so bad.
and it won't be susustainable.
It
That's
won't be
fine.
sustainable.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
That's
if
fair.
they do improve that O-line, then yeah, I definitely see your point. You have a very valid argument for the Giants.
Yeah, and I think that I've said this a number of times, even before the season ended. I don't ever think we got a true vision of what the Giants were, and I said it coming into the offseason. I said I don't know what to make of them because I haven't seen what the Giants were since the 2016 season.
Yeah.
Last year was a total farce because of everything. Again, you talked
The
about
coach was horrible.
an awful head coach.
Oh my
Awful
God.
head coach. And that's the difference. You're talking about injuries and stuff, right? And guys checking out and giving up on the coach.
Yeah.
That's the difference between a team like the Eagles, who have a head coach who is very culture-oriented and very hands-on
Yeah.
and understands his players. Then you turn over and you saw what happened in New York, which was the complete absolute opposite of that. That's what I mean. Listen, they're human beings in the end. They have an emotional reaction to things, and you can have a guy who's going to sit there and pump you up and motivate you and say, "Listen, man, next man up. Don't worry about it because Vitae, Big V stepping in. We're going to be good." As opposed to we have. We're fucked. Everybody's out.
It's a good point.
Sit the quarterback now. Let's start Gino. Gino, get your arm ready to go.
Forget about the
let's
kid.
go. Screw the kid who's sitting on the bench.
Forget about
who
Davis
really,
Webb.
Davis
Webb, who should be given an opportunity.
Yeah.
Fuck him too.
Yeah.
Gino, let's just throw out there whatever we can.
So
like
bad.
that's the difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And how many of
ne-
their secondary got suspended because they gave up on the coach? This is
Absolutely.
valid.
And
So
they-
you don't really know what you had. And then
Yeah.
listen, the offensive line's not great. We talked about that. But again, wouldn't surprise me if they kind of quit on the season too, and they looked even worse than they actually are. I don't know what to make of the Giants, but knowing that, if I'm just looking at it and saying, you look at that offense and you add those 2 weapons to that offense, done. And I still think that Eli Manning is a good enough quarterback.
He's a solid
that
quarterback
He's not what he
Yeah.
was, but he does more than an adequate job that he's a better fit for what Dez Bryant's game is.
Yeah. And I will say also, if they draft Saquon Barkley, which is still
Tom's
possible,
yelling at me.
if it's still
Who is?
Tom's yelling at me.
He said, "Don't you skip my comments, Chrome." He's
the-
commenting in here.
in Pat Shermer's West Coast offense, is it Pat
Yeah.
Shermer?
Yeah.
Pat Shermer's West Coast offense, the way he uses running backs, Barkley would be such a fit. He would be such a weapon for them. So I definitely agree. I can see that.
Tom says Eli's going south. It's a quarterback league, fam. Wake up. All the names don't matter. Eli downside of his career. Don't you skip these comments.
Yeah, I
Chrome.
will. The one thing I will agree with Tom, I forget which one. I think it was you, Charles. We can't say that Eli's a solid quarterback. We can't friggin' do it.
Okay.
No.
All right.
No.
I'm trying to be generous here.
No, that's
okay?
the Giants. We are not generous
All
to them.
right, Okay.
Says you're
cool,
missing
that's
the biggest key,
That's
the quarterback.
Fine. That's fine. That's fine. I think. Well, here's the thing. If you give Eli time, I think he's still savvy enough to make the right throws.
Tom,
here's
do
the
you-
trump card. Here's the trump card. If they don't improve that O-line, that goes out the window.
So what
Because Eli will collapse.
So
Tom,
what-
do you trade Nick Foles to the Giants for the number 2 pick?
Oh, dear. He'll come down the stairs. For me, I think the perfect way to sum up Eli, and I feel like I'm giving him a pass by saying that, Eli Manning is subject to what's around him. And you
Correct.
could argue that for any quarterback, any position player whatsoever.
No,
But he's
one of
not
those-
going to do it himself.
Yeah, no, he's not one of those anymore.
So,
think I'm
Antonio
running out of
Michael
tea.
Bryant says, I think Dez will be fine going up against number 2 defensive backs. Fair enough. I agree.
I'm almost out of tea.
Oh, God.
You've been sipping away over there.
So what's the deal?
It
Do
helps.
you want to try to do a short second segment?
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can go
let's try
over
to-
Sixers
yeah.
and stuff.
Talking this has alleviated some of my headache, so I can go up until like
Yeah,
know,
we'll go.
little
We'll go a
longer.
little bit longer. We won't
Yeah.
go as long as usual, but we'll do a little bit of a short second.
I love you
segment.
guys that much. Everyone here, I love you guys that much.
And I'm safe
You
over
love
here.
him that much that he's willing to sit here and get us all fucking sick for longer.
Yeah, we need to, put that headset in
We're
quarantine.
gonna come back.
yeah,
we're
you
gonna
need to sterilize this headset after I'm done.
Yeah, we're quarantining him. We're putting him in a bubble.
Someone tomorrow won't have a headset. I'll just be yelling. I'll be, welcome to the...
We need like that shit that they use at like the bowling
God.
alley to disinfect the shoes. We gotta spray the mic.
No, or just give this to Ralphie because he's a Lakers
Oh.
That's fair. He told me this morning he was going on strike during the Sixers segment. So
Oh, Jesus.
listen,
fan.
Poor kid.
we might just switch the headsets
There you
and
go.
axe. It would be a real shame if that were to happen. It'd be a real shame.
Yeah.
I love you, Ralphie, but you're Lakers fan.
He's on timeout right now. It's fine.
Yeah. So why don't we take our break now?
Yes,
Yeah, I-
sir.
We'll take
Yeah.
about a 5-minute break or so. Give Charles a couple minutes to get himself together.
Yeah.
And then we'll come back and we'll talk some Sixers. We'll continue talking Eagles if you want to. So, first half brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Make them yours, GibsonMayer.com. Obviously, Stream Smart as well. The poll question. We'll address that again on the other side. That's by ScanzanoSports.com, live from the BMW of Atlantic City studios, BMWAtlanticCity.com. This is Birds of a Feather, and we'll talk to you on the other side. Oh, and thank you, Facebook, for joining us. We'll catch you over on YouTube. Do the jump. The link is in the caption at the top of this video. Thank you for joining us, and Periscope. Join over to YouTube and catch the second half for Sixers Talk. Hey fam, welcome back. Second half of Birds of a Feather, brought to you live from the BMW of Atlantic City studios here on A2DRadio.com, BMW of AtlanticCity.com. Obviously, our show sponsor, Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant, make them yours. Also, StreamSmart, StreamSmart.com. As we talked in the first half, poll question brought to you by Scanzano Sports, ScanzanoSports.com. How would you grade the Eagles offseason? Give it an A, B, C, D. There is no E as an option, but F is another option. And if you say F, you're an idiot. But
You're a Cowboys fan.
I had to give him a little taste of you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so we'll continue to talk that. If you jumped over from YouTube or from Facebook and Periscope over on the YouTube, we appreciate it. Thank you for not making the last goodbye the final goodbye, guys.
Yes.
But yeah, so we're going to continue to run through those comments. I know Charles said there was a few we didn't get to that he definitely wanted to run down. Let's get right to it.
Yeah, so
let's talk to the fam.
Tom Womack, in terms of talking about the draft, he says if we can't move down, we should draft offensive or defensive and pick the best player available. SJM says, Todd, I'm totally about best player available if they don't trade out. Sixers JT says, I'd actually like to see Dez in Tennessee with Mariota. That offense would churn yards. That wouldn't be a bad place, but it's AFC. I don't know how much Dez wants to go to AFC.
JT, I would have to figure out. I mean, that's an interesting name I haven't heard. I would have to figure out their cap situation.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the big thing with Dez, because he's not going to take, as much as he wants to say, oh, it's not about the money. Yeah, it is, Dez. It's about the money for you.
If he goes elsewhere, it's about the money. I think it would have been okay with Dallas taking less, but nowhere else.
SJM86 says, Dez is a hell of a red zone threat, but he's slowly diminished the last 4 years. Injuries, regression, and hasn't eclipsed 1,000 yards. Some of it is due to their philosophy change and Prescott.
All fair points. I agree. It's a combination of a lot of things.
Yeah. Sixers JT says, if Dez gets in the list, Nelson better be on. Oh, you're talking about the top 100.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he also says Nick Foles at 90. Nick Foles at 90.
Nick Foles at 1. What are you talking about?
Fucking guy's the Super Bowl MVP, guys. He's one. Or maybe two behind Todd Gurley.
SJM86 says, I could care less who the Giants or any division team sign. Bring it on. They can be paper champs all day, but need to develop chemistry. This will disrupt any already semi-dysfunctional Giants team. It's not a bad point because it's him and personality. You're talking about him and OBJ.
I don't know how dysfunctional.
A lot of personality.
I don't know how dysfunctional they are now with a new culture. Hopefully, but I would imagine that their head coach is going to put a little bit of a different structure in.
And I think when it comes down to any team, obviously more for certain teams than others, but if you're winning, your culture's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way it goes.
Winning changes a lot of things.
Yes.
And so does losing. So if you're going to be dreadful like last year with the Giants, then your culture's not going to be that great.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then winding down, we got Sixers JT saying, Cowboys, I believe, will be in 4th place come January. I know we all love to hate the Skins, but their defense seems to be really good every year. If their offense stays healthy, that's a pretty good offense too. Jordan Reed and a 2 running back setup with Rob Kelly and P. Ryan. C.J. Beathard could start in New York. Oh boy, don't even start with the Sixers. I've got a lot to say. What I will say to the Redskins point, it's true about the Redskins defense, but the thing is they did give up their star cornerback to the Chiefs in that Alex Smith trade, so that was their best corner. So that's a downgrade. And then he mentions Jordan Reed, who is hardly ever healthy, and even if he is healthy now, who knows if he's the same type of athletic talent that he was. And then the 2 running backs, they got Rob Kelly and P. Ryan. I'm not sold on. I'm not a big fan of either of them. But
you're talking about Perrine, right?
P. Ryan, yeah. Perrine, P. Ryan. I don't. People pronounce it.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I think Perrine stinks.
Yeah, I don't like his. I've never been a big fan of him.
I was last year when I drafted him. He stinks. Bum.
And then David Rosca says big cast and
no, don't even read
it. No. Todd Roberts. Okay, no. He said don't say anything, David. So.
Damn it.
Yep, we're caught up. We're caught up.
Save the wrestling for Thursday.
Who said that?
Ruin it.
Who said it?
Who said what? David Rosca.
No, that was David's turn. I was going to say Todd. Did we not listen?
Todd,
Todd listened.
No, I know. I'm glad it wasn't Todd.
Oh, okay, yeah.
David, what are you doing?
So I'm gonna have to jump out of that. Charles, you're all chat because I did read it, so I saw it, but you didn't, so I won't spoil it for you. But damn it! Son of a bitch!
I called it, by the way, but
No, I don't even. I'm thrown off now because that was spoiled for me.
whole night's ruined.
Son of a bitch!
I wish him well, though.
I already saw it, so I'll look at it now.
Oh my god.
Let me go to my phone.
There was something somebody said I wanted to respond to, and then I saw that.
And then it ruined everything.
Dysfunction. Yeah, fourth place. The Cowboys being a fourth place. Oh, it was the Redskins. My issue now with the Redskins is you downgraded your quarterback situation, and I agree with Tom. The quarterback wins. I don't see Alex Smith being in any way, shape, or form a better situation for them. So I can't believe in them. They have to show it to me on the field.
So here's my question with the Redskins, okay? You can take it as rhetorical, but either way, what do the Redskins do very well to great? Exactly.
I was like,
wait, is this a trick question?
It is because
Silence.
it cues silence every time. And that's literally what the Redskins have been.
you guys literally couldn't see my face, but I was literally like, my eyes were moving in
I
six
know.
directions. Like,
I just froze. I was thinking, I'm like, what did they signed big name free agents really well?
And they overpay
And
for
they
them.
overpay.
Oh,
Yeah.
Paul Richardson.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, Paul Richardson.
Really? Who else? Who else they got?
I don't know. It was bad.
Terrell Pryor? Oh, wait, that's right. That blew up in their face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let's see. Who do they have at their running back situation right now?
They have Rob Kelly and P. Ryan.
Wow.
No, yeah, wow. Exactly.
Wow.
Oh, they have Chris Thompson, who's a good third down back. That's it. That's their
Great.
best. That's their best talent right now.
How about their defense? Do they have a great shutdown defense, especially compared to a certain, I'm going to call him an older brother, a big brother in the division, the Philadelphia Eagles? No.
They have some pieces, that's it.
How about their coach, Jay Gruden?
Gruden.
Is he one of the top coaches, not only in the league, but in the division at the moment?
No.
Speaking of Gruden, what do you think the Raiders are going to do this year?
They will
I
either
don't
be
know.
great.
I don't know.
I will say this. I'll say the same thing that I did about Gabe Kapler. Okay, he will either be great for them, and they'll be in the playoffs, and they'll be back, or
They'll be
it
what
will
we thought
be,
they were going to be last.
They were going to be.
Yes.
They're going to be bad.
or, and I'm leaning towards the or in this, the latter of this.
Yeah.
They will be such a disaster, but yet a big story because it's Gruden.
Yeah.
See, I think they're going to be good this year. I think he's going to turn that around. I think he's going to maximize
David Carr?
the whole potential that team
Sorry,
had last
I said
year.
David Carr. Derek Carr.
Derek
I'm
Carr.
sorry.
That's because I said David Carr earlier. But no, I think that I just have a feeling that he's going to – I always liked Chucky. I think he's a good head coach, and I think he's a good football guy. I loved hearing him talk, and I just feel like he's going to take the potential that was there last year that epically failed, and I think he's going to maximize it this year, and he's going to get the best out of these guys.
Here's my biggest concern with Gruden, okay? I don't know if he's able to evolve from the last time he was in the league. A lot has changed. I mean, I remember
It's a valid point.
I forget which player it was I remember hearing in an interview, but they had made a great point by saying the last time Gruden was in a locker room, they did not have cell phones in the locker room.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
It's true, but in fairness, too, I think if you hear him talk about the game on commentary, he understands where the game is at today.
I mean, to your point, I'd certainly hope so, just because he's been around it. He hasn't taken a 10-year vacation
not
in
a
the
guy that stepped
Bahamas
away.
without a phone.
They're not
Yeah.
they're not bringing back, I don't even know old head coaches at this point.
Well, like
Mike Holmgren. They're not
Yeah.
having Mike Holmgren come in and step
or
in.
Herm,
Yeah.
Herm,
Yeah.
like somebody like that,
Yeah.
Right?
Like I think it's a different, and even Herm, Herm. I'm thinking Tony Dungy. But yeah, no, but even Herm is still around the game though,
True.
which is why I didn't throw out Bill Cowher because they're still around the game.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But you talk about a Mike Holmgren who's not really around the game. It's not like you're bringing him in to where it's a different league at this point.
Yeah, that's a valid
So-
point. Valid point.
I think that he has an understanding that and I think that he can adapt. But
I will
We'll
tell you
see.
this: that division's completely up for grabs at the moment. Completely up
for
for
sure.
grabs.
they have a chance to step in and be a powerhouse right away if all things click.
Up for grabs.
I would say at the moment the
Chargers.
I was going to say it's the Chargers at the moment.
I really like the Chargers.
Because we just don't know what Pat Mahomes is at the moment.
Yeah.
We don't.
Yeah. I really like the Chargers. They would be my pick for that division. Because I actually picked them last year to be the wild card, the first wild card. I really like the roster they have, and I think that their defense is even set up to be a really good defense. That struggle they had at the beginning of the year going 0-4, that was the difference. If they had just won one of those games instead of starting out 0-4, they would have been in the playoffs. So I think this is the year they take the division.
I had to silence one of my group chats because spoilers are continuing to be posted.
Oh, boy.
I didn't see it.
Is all of this stuff happening? Is it that eventful?
Well, the comment I got is SmackDown is everyone's on SmackDown now, and 3 hours of Raw is now unwatchable. That's what the comment I saw, and I was like, I don't want to even know. Put it on silent. Dear Lord. Charles is like, whatever that shit means. So, where's Alexa Bliss at?
Oh, no,
Where's Liv Morgan at?
Well, wouldn't be surprised if she's on freaking SmackDown at this point.
But guys, let's get some Sixers talk in.
Let's do it.
Eagles. Let's get some Sixers talk in. Obviously, Tom went on his little rant earlier, which is me creating an understatement there. But obviously, playoffs round 1, 2 games in, tied 1-1 with Miami. Let's talk about what you're seeing. I mean, there's a lot to talk about. We don't know what the hell is going on with Embiid. There could be some things fluttering out there now that he might be playing Game 3, according to what Tom has passed along to us.
Hopefully.
I don't know. I hope he plays. I don't think they made the wrong decision sitting him out with how they came out of Game 1.
Agreed.
But there's definitely a sense of urgency, and I think that it was exploited how much they need to have that big presence in the middle to command the respect instead of everybody jumping out on the perimeter and forcing them to take lousy shots. So, Game 1, they looked great. Bellinelli looked fantastic. I do think the signings of Bellinelli and Ilyasova have been huge. And
they've been huge.
Tell you what, dude, you put the guy in a winning situation, he's a whole different player. Even yesterday I felt
he played well.
He's continued to play very well.
People might find this comment controversial, but for me, I don't think it's that much of a hot take. Bellinelli and Ersan, they're the reasons why we're the 3 seed.
Oh, for sure.
Because
I don't think that's a hot take at all.
All right, good. Because for me, because I know people might be thinking, oh, no, it's because of Simmons. It's because of Embiid. It's because of Brett Brown.
Well, obviously.
That goes without saying. Those 3 guys I just mentioned, they're the reason why we're in the playoffs, why we're, the type of team we are.
Yes.
If we don't have Ersan and Bellinelli, when Embiid goes out, we do exactly what all of the quote-unquote experts had us doing and dropping from 4 to 6, not going from 4 to 3. Because, if anything, when Embiid went out, everyone upped their game. Not because Embiid doesn't make them better. No. It's because they stepped up. Next man up attitude, like we talk about with the Eagles.
Right.
If you do not have guys that can flat out shoot the basketball and can, like an Ersan that obviously can be a great defender, especially with drawing charges as well.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, they're not here right now. They're not. We might be facing the freaking Cavaliers at the moment. Or the Pacers.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, now our bench is deep. You're talking about moving people down, like the roster, because, Ilyasova started last night in place of Amir Johnson, but now you move Amir Johnson back to a bench role, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then Bellinelli is one of the first people off the bench. It slides people down to where now our bench is deeper than what it was before, and that's pivotal. That's absolutely pivotal in the playoffs.
Dion asks, any timeline to when Embiid returns, hopefully Game 3. Hopefully, they were saying earlier that now he may not play, but now they're saying that he may play. Typical Brian Colangelo, 76ers. It could happen, but it couldn't happen type of deal. So
I have to say one thing, and I'm not trying
I see him on the court,
yes.
I ain't believing a goddamn thing I hear.
Exactly, and not to side with the Sixers organization or Brian Colangelo, because I've said this numerous times here that I love the team. I can't stand the organization. They're 2 completely different entities, in my opinion.
Correct.
But we have to remember here,
It's the Cardinals for me.
Carson Wentz, when he got hurt, it was a leg. You know the extent of an injury with a leg, okay?
Yeah.
You know, okay, can I walk? Can I run? Can someone hit me over with the knee, and am I going to collapse or am I going to be all right? You're going to know. And I'm not trying to sound like a guy that plays a doctor on TV because I'm not a doctor. I understand that. But this is a guy's vision we're talking about. Someone where he had to have surgery. His face caved in to where I don't really think we will know how good Embiid is as far as health until he's on the court.
Correct.
Because Embiid can go out there, and by all means, I'm sure if someone asked him right now, hey, do you think you're ready to go? He would say absolutely because, number one, he's a competitor, and two, he hasn't gone through the contact. He can go out before the games and he can just shoot threes. That's fine. We're not going to know if he's fully healthy until he gets smacked in the face, until there's contact. Because when you talk about vision, when you talk about something when it's literally on the orbital socket, that's not something that you should shy away from. Be like, oh, that's fine. Put a Band-Aid on it. You're all good to go.
Right.
That's something that could easily not just affect him for the rest of this season, the rest of his career, rest of his life.
Right.
So for me, listen, I'd love to have him back. I would love to. I would love to have him never go away, to be completely honest. We have to remember, this is not Game 7 of the NBA Finals we're talking about.
Correct.
It's Game 3 of the first round with
Correct.
a team that's very deep and a Ben Simmons who's a future Hall of Famer, best player in the NBA. I'm very confident saying that.
Yeah.
I definitely think we need him, especially to go far in this playoff, run. If he's not back Game 3, take a deep breath. Everything's going to be fine because everything was fine during that 17-game stretch, where a majority of them we didn't have Embiid.
No, you're right. I agree with you on a lot of that. I can't really refute a lot of what you said. I just feel like if the guy feels like he's ready to play and he's out there doing stuff, I don't see what 2 days at this point is going to make a big difference. Obviously, he's not feeling any kind of a pain or an issue to where it's going to distract him from it. But I just can't believe anything the organization says at this point.
No, and it's
to where I'm listening. Before I would always say, well, the organization knows better than the player. They'll know the right time. And, generally that's my belief with sports.
Yes.
Of course a player wants to get out there and play. But at the same time, seeing how this organization handles things, it would not shock me that they're protecting their asset, overprotecting their asset, to the point where the guy's ready to step on the court, and they're just being way too gun-shy to pull the trigger on it. And that's my concern with them. But I agree with what you said. It's a marathon, not a sprint when it comes to this guy's career and what we're trying to accomplish here as far as sustained success. You don't sacrifice a game or two, putting the guy's long-term health at risk too. But I can't trust that he's not ready to play. That's my issue.
Yeah.
And that's because of the organization and the precedent that they've set.
I'd have to agree with you on that. I don't trust anything. And when I talk organization, I don't even include Brett Brown in that.
No.
I think it's anyone higher than Brett Brown. It's hard to, after everything they've not said and said, it's hard to really believe anything.
Sixers JT says, first of all, if Embiid is confident that he can play, I believe he should be on the court. I don't care if he's on a minutes restriction, for Christ's sake. He should be playing.
That's fair.
That's
and
fair, yeah.
minutes restriction is actually something I haven't heard a lot of. And I know minutes restriction was something that anytime someone said, I want to throw something at them.
I'm done.
Yes, exactly. Literally throw the headset at the camera. But even for me, and I was joking around with a buddy of mine, but after watching Game 2, I might not be kidding at this point, part of me just wants to see Embiid back so I don't have to see Amir Johnson on the court. And no disrespect to Amir Johnson, because Amir Johnson can't help that he's Amir Johnson. But good God.
Yeah.
If and I'm not trying to roast the guy, but if you asked me, name one guy that seems that he's a step behind everybody else and doesn't know how to make a freaking layup, it seems like he'll do whatever it takes to make sure the ball doesn't go in the hoop, I'd be looking at a picture of Amir Johnson.
My one friend always says with Amir Johnson, he's not a center. He's a power forward. So you were playing him at center. He's out of position. He's not going to make the plays. Because I was saying the stuff that you were saying at the beginning of the year. I'm like, Amir Johnson sucks. Like, what is he doing? And he kept telling me, dude, he's out of position. He's not a center. And I can't argue against that, but I hear you for all the reasons. That's why I said having Ersan start last night to me was huge. And Ersan was all over the boards. Like, he was getting offensive boards left and right. And he had 11 boards.
And
so,
he played great in that situation in the second half of Game 1.
Sixers JT says Amir Johnson actually played pretty good in Game 1, but he got exposed when it came to guarding Whiteside and Olynyk. We need a real center who will give a shutdown Kelly Olynyk and protect the paint. I'm sorry, I can't read it. Here's my thing. Let's just talk about all the shit that annoys us, and not because the world is falling or the city's falling and collapsing.
Yeah, I'm not worried.
It just feels good to get like the frustrations off your chest, right? I'm not saying that I think they're gonna lose or the world is ending now. Simply just let's talk about the things that piss us off. I can't watch Rocco shoot these fucking threes anymore. That pisses me off. Dario needs to figure out how to play defense again. That pissed me off yesterday. Amir Johnson is Amir Johnson in Game 2. That pissed me off yesterday. I agree with Tom in the sense that he had talked about the rotation in the second half yesterday. I don't want to say it pissed me off, but it annoyed me yesterday. I'm just throwing all this shit out there.
Yeah, that's fine.
The inability to when the defense was collapsing on the perimeter to just walk up the court and take shots, that pissed me off yesterday. For a team that passes the ball and is known for passing the ball as much as they do, it's like they totally forgot how they play their Sixers basketball this season.
They were all statues.
Yeah,
they were all statues.
They weren't moving.
It's an offense that's built off of movement, and no one was moving.
And the point was brought up about how the refs didn't do us any favors yesterday, and I agree with that. But I'm not going to blame the refs in this situation.
Yeah,
because here's what I believe. Ticky-tack stuff happened to us, and they were taking cheap shots. I don't give a shit what anybody says. They're taking those little extra nudges and shit.
Yeah.
Amir Johnson, make yourself fucking worth something. Get out there and put one of those fuckers on their ass.
I completely agree.
Be physical
respect.
Back.
Yeah.
Be physical back.
Earn it back. Earn respect and say, listen, dude, they're going to play physical. We are too. Amir Johnson could take 6 fucking fouls in the first quarter and sit down the rest of the game, and I would be fine with it. But get out there and set a precedent.
You know who I was actually expecting it to a point, especially towards the end. I actually thought this player was going to go after one of them. I thought Dario was going to go crazy.
Looked like
I seriously thought, like, okay, the next time someone touches him, he's going to start throwing stuff.
Yeah. And if we're talking about things that piss us off, you guys know I love Ben Simmons. He's my favorite player on the Sixers right now. But God damn it, stop with the layups. Dunk it. He had those 2 layups on the rush.
Layup
oh
under
my
the basket
gosh,
where he got stuffed. That was terrible.
Come on, you got to
even on the 2-on-1 where he's.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
2-on-1.
And
Stop with it.
Just
Stop
go up strong.
Just go
Put
strong.
it in. Just place it in the basket.
Yeah.
I'm reminding people, we are not negative Nancy's. We're having a segment here, getting it all off our chest.
Yeah, I'm not panicking.
Giving you guys
None
the
of us are
opportunity to agree or disagree with us. And let's just have this is a family intervention. We're getting it out so then we can get back to realisticness, to the reality of this is a damn good basketball.
I have a few. Can I go?
Go.
I have a few.
Go ahead,
Jump them in. Let's just fucking spat them out. Go for it.
Because listen, to your point, and I understand everyone at home for the most part understands this, and people will think, "Oh, you're joking." No, I'm not joking. After they lost last night, I honestly had the feeling like, this feels weird. I don't know. What is this?
It's a
this
loss.
doesn't happen to us.
And not even just a loss after a 17-game win streak, just to lose at home because they're so good at home.
They lost, and chat, please correct me if I'm wrong. They lost 1 game at home in 2018?
It had to be something like that.
And I believe that one home game, quote-unquote, was when they were the home team in London. Chat, if you can do the research for me and tell me if I'm wrong.
Somebody get us the home record.
Yes, tell me what they were in 2018 at home.
Yeah.
JT says, I know we are tired of Covington, but we were down by 4. And we had 2 straight possessions when Marco Bellinelli just shot these ridiculous fall-away threes that even Curry couldn't even take. Because of those 2 possessions, the Heat went on the run, and we just lost the momentum we actually had going into the fourth quarter. There's a problem with our defense when Kelly Olynyk looks like Dirk Nowitzki.
Kelly Olynyk.
I will address that now. I agree with you on the Bellinelli shots, but when Robert Covington has wide open shots and he's hitting the front of the fucking rim,
yeah,
come on, bro.
Cov. You got it. And I don't.
Covington was missing good open shots.
And I'm not as big of a Covington. I'm not a Covington
I
hater.
love Covington.
Yeah, I'm not a Covington hater like a lot of people.
Fuck him last night. He pissed me off.
But he's got to hit those shots. Like, you've got to do that, dude. If you're going to be one of the starters on this team, one of the key guys on this team, you got to make those shots.
What I'll say about Covington is he played great defense last night, though. And that, to me, was his saving grace when it looked like a whole lot of us weren't playing real great defense. He played really good defense last night.
And I'll say that I direct this, because I agree with you. For number one, on JT's comment about, Rocco, we cannot ignore the pass at the end of the game, and I understand it's one play, and it involved 2 players. I'm going to call it a bounce pass to Redick, but it was more, I'm going to throw the ball at freaking Redick's feet and act like he's 2 feet tall and he's closer to the ground, rather than what he really
then again,
is.
He's going out of bounds. I mean, I'm pretty sure accuracy on the pass isn't.
Is he going out of bounds though?
Wasn't he going out of bounds?
He was.
No, he was.
Both feet were planted, and he had plenty of time.
I'm going to tell you right now.
Let's look at
my buddy.
You could be right. I just from my memory, he was either running out of bounds or he. I played
a lot of basketball, and believe me, he had more than enough stability in his legs to make that pass. I will tell you right now, because my buddy was at the game, and I texted him and I put F Rocco, like immediately after that pass. And he put, and again, this is what they're seeing at the game, but I said, I told him they showed different angles of it. He said, he threw the ball, JJ let it go right between the wickets. And I said, no. He looked like McNabb throwing a fucking short yardage pass.
That he did.
Thank
into
you.
somebody's feet. He launched it, and listen, I played. To me, it looked like he didn't know if he wanted to bounce pass the ball or just fire a pass into him, and he got caught in between. I've done it. Anyone who's played basketball has done it. You can't do it in that spot, and he had the opportunity to make that pass. And that's a pass that you can't make that kind of mistake. That kind of stuff kills momentum.
Yeah.
The biggest thing while we're on this intervention train for me, and I saw this in the Real Talk group, which, by the way, if you're not in the Real Talk group, make sure you go over to Facebook, A2D Radio, Real Sports Talk.
Good stuff in Real Talk, guys.
It's a freaking blast.
Our regular page is awesome. The Real Talk stuff, that's where we really get
It's
down on
A2D Radio 24/7, 365, jacked up to 1,000 miles an hour.
Yep.
There was, and I'm not, first off, I can't remember who said it, so I'm not going to name his name. If I remembered his name, I would say it. He went on a monologue in there saying, after tonight, I just don't think the Sixers have what it takes to go far.
Oh, I know who you're talking to.
Yes, I think you guys both commented in there. I know you did, Charles.
I didn't say it.
And I'm looking at it.
Okay, go ahead. I have the play, but go ahead.
Okay. First off, again.
Well, you could watch it. We've seen it.
Take a deep breath. Relax. It's the first time they've lost in quite a while. Right. Okay? That's as bad as this Sixers team could have played. That's as good as the Miami Heat could have played.
Yeah.
Listen, Dwayne Wade is a great player. He will be a Hall of Famer. He's not that player every night, ladies and gentlemen.
No, and that's the thing that people have to remember. That was the dude, he turned back time last night, but he can't do that every night.
He's not going to do it every night.
And that was a killer. Dion says, I'd rather see Anderson out there. Redick missed a bunch of shots as well last night. He would normally hit. So what was the difference from game 1 to game 2, or did we get out-coached as well as outplayed under the basket?
Oh, that's
we'll
very
address
simple.
that in 1 second.
Yeah.
Sixers JT says, also, we love TJ McConnell, but where the hell was Markelle Fultz? TJ's offensive game has looked horrible recently. He gives us nothing but energy, which isn't bad, but when we need points, put Fultz in. One word, Dion, threes. My thing with the McConnell thing, whatever reason I trust Brett didn't like, I guess, what he saw from Markel.
Fultz looked very overwhelmed at the beginning of the game.
Yeah,
when he played.
I didn't think that it warranted it. And here's the thing with TJ. I don't worry about TJ's offensive game because that's not the focus of his game. He's a defensive guy and he's a court general. He manages the court. Now, did he do it well last night? No, because nobody played well last night for the most part.
Well,
with the exception of Ilyasova.
I'll ask you guys, and I'll ask the chat as well. Why do we love TJ McConnell?
He's feisty.
It's because he's the quote-unquote heart of the team.
Yep.
He can get anyone to raise their game because he's all of the energy that no one has at the time.
Yep.
That's what he has. That's why Brett Brown puts him in the game because, okay, here's a wild card TJ McConnell. He's not going to put up 21 points with freaking 10 assists.
I'm happy if I get 4 points from him.
Yes, but hey, here's another option. Let's switch things up because obviously if he didn't switch things up, people would completely destroy him by saying, hey, you're not trying to adapt.
Yeah.
TJ McConnell, let's see if we can get the guys going. And listen, he didn't, but no one could because if they can't make shots, you're not going to win a game.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is.
And the thing with TJ is he reminds me of an Eric Snow in a sense of he picks and chooses his shots. He's not a guy that's going to go out there and put 15 shots up in a night. He might take 6, 7, 8 shots, but he picks his shots when they're – some nights those 6, 7 shots aren't going to fall. Some nights he might shoot 5 of 8 or 6 of 8 and put up 12 points for you or 13 or 14 points for you. You know, but like in Eric Snow, it was more about being the general on the floor and being to me, he's one of the best backup point guards in the league as far as a guy who gets in there and manages all the young kids and puts them in a position.
You'll like Deion's comment.
Colin Cowherd is an idiot. Oh, did you guys hear Colin Cowherd's opinion not only on the Sixers loss but the entire Philly sports scene today? I hate national media hosts. They just get paid to talk and change their opinions and shake my head. This is all I'm going to say, Deion, because you are absolutely right. Go into Real Talk when we go off the air, and our boy Thomas Kennedy McMahon, our known, we had a little bit of a video that we put in the Real Talk group.
Oh, yeah.
And any other day, Deion,
talking exactly this.
That question and that comment by you would trigger me going crazy on him, on Colin. I hate to do this. I'm leading off with that tomorrow at 6.
So you can't get into it too much.
That's fine.
I'm leading off with that there. I have a lot
He's
to
moronic.
say on that.
I refuse to give guys like him and Skip Bayless any of my time anymore. Like it's their points are just so asinine. I'm just like I'm not wasting my breath.
I know I'm not going to rehash. Go watch the video and we get more into detail.
100%.
My overall perspective of it was he wants to say that Philadelphia, quote unquote, is in the coach seat and we're in the back of the bus, just along for the ride or whatever he says, right? To sit there and try to talk about Philadelphia being losing and irrelevant and this and that, go back 5 years ago. Go back and find clips. How often on those shows did they talk about Philadelphia sports? Next to never, including the Eagles, aside from Chip Kelly's sideshow. Now, whether it's good, it's bad, they're saying that we're shit, they're saying that we're gold. Whatever they say, Philadelphia is a talking point every day on the show. That is counterproductive to everything they try to say. They could say whatever they say, they talk about us because people want to hear about Philadelphia and people want to know or want to talk about a winning city and culture and all that stuff. So it's all bullshit to get ratings and clicks.
Of course it is.
It's funny because and you guys know this, on a weekly basis, I always make fun of the people online that get quote unquote, get offended because that's the trendy thing to do nowadays on anything. I'm offended. And I would always look at things like, I really don't get offended by much. The only time I get offended is when a freaking idiot like Colin Cowherd talks about Philadelphia sports that way. Because for me, like I said, I'm not going to get into it, but it's like, I know what he's doing. I know for a fact because I know the 3 biggest things, just paying attention for 2 seconds, the biggest 3 things he talks about that actually gets a reaction is LeBron, LeVar, and Philadelphia sports. That's it. And Westbrook's 4. I mean, that's it. So that's why he keeps going on to it. I understand what he's doing. But, dude, You have to understand if you're going to sound like an idiot every freaking time you open your mouth, especially when you talk about Philadelphia sports, there's a reason why people are calling you the next Skip Bayless without the talent.
And he's talking about Philadelphia because the Northeast is a passionate fan base of sports. So what is he going to do? Good, bad, or indifferent? There's no such thing as bad publicity. So he's going to look at this, and he's going to sit there and say, if I go after Philadelphia, I'm going to get tons of clicks and shares on Twitter and responses. And you know what? That's good publicity for my show.
Yep.
So take everything he says with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
I'll just say he's not going to know what to do when we're in the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
And I will just leave it at that.
Absolutely. Guys, thanks for joining us. If you joined us on YouTube, if you joined us on Facebook, if you joined us on Periscope, make sure tomorrow jump on. Check out The Fix.
The Fix.
Tom and Mike, AM and the PM tomorrow night. Lazy Booking Thursday night. Agree to Disagree on Sunday. Sports Hounds, I believe, is going to be on Monday, right?
Yes, sir.
I know they missed this week, right?
They'll be here.
They'll be back. Sports Hounds will be back. Hockey Happy Hour will be here Thursday night right after Lazy Booking with the Flyers in the playoffs. If you're a hockey fan, you're going to get your hockey fix, believe me. Hope you feel better, buddy.
Thanks.
I'm sorry.
Feel better,
Thanks,
buddy.
everyone. Thanks.
Ryan, great job again today. Thank you, fam, for the conversation. Show was brought to you by Gibson Mayer LLC, our certified public accountant. Gibson Mayer, make them yours. Stream Smart, streamsmart.com. Scanzano Sports, always killing it for our poll question. We appreciate that from scanzanosports.com. BMW of Atlantic City in the BMW of Atlantic City studios, bmwatlanticcity.com. Live from the studio, A2D Radio has bought you birds of a feather, and we will be back next week with Paulie. Guys,
Go Flyers,
thanks
go
again.
Sixers.
Go Sixers. Hey, Philly unite, guys. Philly
Philly
unite.
unite.
We'll talk to you. Have a good night.